Hello everyone, I'm Professor Midnight, and I know the uniform today is a little alternate, but honestly it's way too hot in here to be wearing long sleeve and a robe.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, how does the rest of that go?
Yeah, well, for you it's very easy to say it because you're not here getting cooked with a light bulb in front of your face. But anyways, I know National Teachers' Day is different in every country, and I did search for the international one, but guess what? That's not gonna happen until October 8. And I don't know about you, but I do not wanna wait until then to upload this video. So what do you say we get started? Harry Potter saga is full of wonderful teachings, many of them taught by the professors in Hogwarts. And since Hogwarts Mystery allows us to see very interesting facets of these characters, this top will be dedicated to the best professors in Hogwarts, but focusing more on what we see on the game. So don't be surprised if I say things that contradict the movies or the books. Honorable mention to Rubius Hagrid and Albus Dumbledore. To Hagrid because although there are some years missing before he's named professor, even before that he already showed so much love for magical creatures and for any kind of animals whatsoever. And this we can see not only in the optional missions where we help him take care of creatures, but also when Fang gets lost and we help him find it. Of course you'd need to be completely heartless to not care that your puppy got lost. But still, in Hagrid's case, I don't think it's only a normal owner that cares about his dog. Because we can see this in the way he talks about him, saying that he's really concerned because he's only a puppy and he gets easily scared. Although the opportunity to study and exercise magic was very unfairly taken away from this character, this never stopped him to earn the trust and the heart of magical creatures, even without a wand. And this is why, even though he doesn't know it yet, Hagrid's love for the subject of his class and his capacity to transfer that love to others will make him an excellent professor. And to Dumbledore, because even though now he's the principal, from his teaching years he showed a wonderful trait that was his capacity to see potential in all of his students.
All of them?
Yes! Unfortunately, everyone means everyone. But besides the fact that Tom Riddle is the only responsible one for his life choices, Dumbledore only gave him the chance to study at the school. To be perfectly fair, there were other teachers that made much more the mistake of trusting him blindly and even gave him dangerous information. Right, Slughorn? Maybe with Voldemort, this trait of Albus didn't have very good results. But in general, it can be the difference between a student suffering or enjoying learning. And since Dumbledore keeps showing this trait, even in his principal position, he definitely has earned this mention. Severus Snape.
What the f***?
Yes, I know it's weird for him to be here with the best and not with the worst ones, because the books practically describe him as a bully that's all the time taking out his anger on the students, being cruel to them, and unnecessarily hostile. However, I decided to include him because this top is more based on the game, and Hogwarts Mystery allows us to see some facets of Snape that I think is important to recognize. Particularly his protectiveness towards the students, whether he likes them or not. And we can see this because before we leave with Rapik to the next vault, it's a Snape that gives us the vial to escape from her in case we're in danger. He may not be the kindest teacher, but we cannot deny that with this, he saved our life. And we cannot deny either that more than once he's put his own security in danger in order to protect the students. That professor is a jerk! Well, alright, in class he's pretty obnoxious and he gets angry even if we get the minigames right. But now that I think of it, outside of class, more than once he shows that he does appreciate when someone puts dedication to his subject. And finally, I include him in the top because of his advice in the mission of Celestial Ball. If you remember, in this mission we interact with him during a punishment where we have to help him clean up the classroom. And obviously at first, when we start telling him about our dilemma of not knowing whom to take to the Celestial Ball, firstly he reacts very irritated and tells us that our love problems are not of his interest. But later, when we are about to leave, he stops us and tells us it's the heart that makes the choice, sometimes against our best judgment. Of course, this may not seem like the most affectionate advice in the world, but if we think of it, they are wise words and in their way emphatic too, because although Snape does not give us details of his love life, we know he's speaking by experience. I understand if you differ with me for including him, but in my personal opinion, I think more than a bad person, Snape is bitter. So if we demand from him the same than from more affectionate teachers, he's always going to look bad. But if we focus on other things like Hermione never having problems in potions until he stopped being his teacher, we'll see that Severus Snape, with all his character flaws, is still a valuable element for Hogwarts due to everything that students can learn from him both inside and outside the classroom. And in the end, that's what matters the most. Filius Flitwick. Besides his great skills for charms, this professor is in this top because of his wonderful way to relate to students. On one hand, through art, and on the other hand, by sharing his knowledge not only outside of class, but also even when the objective isn't purely academic. Or what? Did you forget who taught us Flipendo to defend ourselves from Merula? Or who helped us get rid of the snowstorm we caused by accident? Of course, at first, he does question us if it was us, but if we are sincere, he appreciates the honesty and barely scolds us. He just helps us fix what we did. On the other hand, his artist soul not only makes him lead the Toad's chorus, but also makes him a pioneer in daring to try to present a play in Hogwarts, despite the terrible luck the school has with that. In this particular mission, we see a very human side of Flitwick when we see him vulnerable and frustrated because of the big mess that happened on stage caused by Barnaby Snarl, also named Gnarl. Okay, putting myself in the place of that poor creature, I think if I would have been named woman or human or girl instead of my name, I would also be creating messes everywhere. What's with the idea of calling someone as his species? But anyways, going back to the play, despite his frustration, Flitwick shows a wonderful trust towards us when we tell him our ideas to save the play. You should know that for a theater director, it's not easy at all to accept to remove characters, remove scenes, remove dialogues, and even turn the final dialogue into a monologue because of lack of sources and time. So call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure that the success of our acting that day has lots to do with the trust that Flitwick puts in us. Flitwick on one hand teaches us that a great professor is the one that teaches his students so well that they can apply what they learned even without him. And on the other hand, he teaches us that even the best cannot keep everything under control, but true wisdom does not rely on avoiding every problem and mistake, but on knowing how to solve them. Pomona Sprout. Same as with Cattleborn, Pomona shows her vocation both for her biology and teaching, not only in the great knowledge she shows, but most importantly for the great love and empathy towards her plants that she transfers to her students. And this we can actually notice because one of the first things she tells us in class is that before starting to tend a plant, it's important to understand its particular needs, showing us that plants are not a bunch of things, but individuals with particular needs. Honestly, I wasn't very excited for this class at first, and I think it's also because in real life, I'm terrible with keeping plants. I can take care of all the animals you like, but plants just die with me.
Everything I touch dies!
But when I started playing this game, I finally understood that her biology class, or at least the way Pomona gives it, is not only about tending plants. It's actually much more about learning to understand and care for another being, even if you cannot communicate with them the way you're used to. And on the other hand, in more than one mission where we need her plants, if she catches us taking them without permission, of course at first she doesn't love that. But when she asks us with what purpose we are taking them, if we explain her, she herself gives the permission for us to take what we need, which makes me wonder why my character keeps stealing. But okay. Finally, I'm going to break my own rules for a second, because what I'm going to mention will not appear on the game because it's very posterior. But I want to include it because one of the reasons why I'll always respect Sprout is that during the Second Magic War, she was one of the few Hogwarts professors that, despite Voldemort's regimen, decided to stay. And we must remember that she was the director of no other than Hufflepuff's house. And the founder of her house was particularly devoted to the Muggle-born wizards. So the way I see it, Sprout's permanence in the castle in that situation required not only a very special courage, but a very special love for her students that definitely earns her this place. Minerva Mcgonagall. She earns the second place on this top not only because of her abilities in transforming, but also because of her great capacity to personally empathize with students. This we can actually see when she catches us spying on our date. Of course, at first she does scold us, but when we explain to her what's going on, she not only doesn't punish us, but she also smiles and wishes us luck on our date. And on the other hand, the one thing that's even more amazing than her devotion to rules or her empathy is that neither of those two keep her from being objective and fair. And this we can see very clearly when Meryl accidentally transforms herself in Puffskin for trying the human transformation despite McGonagall's warnings. Obviously, at first, she's not happy with the news. But besides the fact that she does help Merula go back to her human form, in this mission, McGonagall proves to us that her devotion to doing what's right doesn't cloud her judgment. First of all, because she doesn't dissolve the Sphinx Club like she planned, when she realizes that's an excessive measure. And second of all, because if we tell her not to punish Merula, she actually agrees with us because she realizes that what Merula went through was already enough punishment. Sure, this could look like she's a softie, but actually, it shows that she's a wise professor. Yes, in the role of an angry teacher, it's very easy to forget the actual objective of a punishment, because it's not for you to feel better or for you to unleash your anger. It's for the students to understand why they shouldn't repeat what they did. McGonagall has this place because she doesn't only have this very clear, but also she has the wisdom to remember that even the best student in Hogwarts is still a teenager, and therefore susceptible to making mistakes. And that is why, even though they drive her crazy, McGonagall keeps teaching and caring for students with the same devotion as always. Sylvanus Cattleborn. This professor gives us more than one reason to put him at the highest rank of the top. He's so devoted with his profession that even though he has lost an arm, a leg, and an eye, all due to creatures, he not only still loves them and takes care of them, but also he encourages his students into trying to understand and be empathic towards other living beings. If we observe the minigames of his class, when we do them wrong and the creature shows rejection or fear towards us, more than angry, he looks worried. And if we do them right and the creature shows trust, this makes him happy. Minigames may not seem like much, but if we join them to all the ways he shows his love to creatures, we'll see that there could never be a better example on how to love them than him. On the other hand, we can see his gift for teaching not only by the knowledge he shows in class, but also because even outside of it, he keeps caring about the students. And this we can see when after Rakepick's betrayal, he looks for us trying to cheer us up and to remind us that Patricia is the exception, not the rule. Finally, one thing I love about this teacher is that in the Mission Magical Creatures Everywhere, when he realizes that the situation with the creatures just got out of his hand, he shows a very rare closeness between teacher and student when he asks us for help. Of course, Hagrid and Amos Diggory asked for it too, but in Kettleborn's case, I think it required at least a more particular courage, because as a teacher, it's easy to believe that since you're an example for your students, you shouldn't make mistakes in front of them. But in this mission, Kettleborn proves to us that even the teacher's mistake can become the student's learning. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share with your teachers and Potterhead friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so you do not miss the next video I upload. Now that you finished watching, do Professor Midnight a favor and go hug all your teachers because of the knowledge they share with you. Alright, Midnighters, mischief managed!